So one of the areas that children get most confused in is actually how to convert units. What I've tried to do here is I've tried to use these units and write them under each other because all of these words have the same meaning. We can see here that we have kilometre and kilogram, and the prefix kilo actually means multiply by 1,000. Always. It means it's 1,000 times bigger than the original prefix. So kilometre means it's 1,000 times bigger than metre. So if we were going to change kilometre to metre, we would have to multiply our 1 kilometre by 1,000 to find the number of metres. And the same thing going backwards. If we were going to start with metres and go backwards to kilometres, we have 1 metre. How many kilometres would that be? We would divide by 1,000. It would be 0.001 of a kilometre, 1,000th of a kilometre would be 1 metre. Metres then to decimeters. Well, that's quite easy because deci, the prefix deci, means 1/10 of. So whenever you see a decimeter in front of a length, it means it's 10 times smaller than a metre. So if we have 1 metre, how many decimeters are going to be in that metre? There's going to be 10 of them. 10 times smaller is a decimeter than a metre. What about a decimeter compared with a centimetre? Well, also, again, 10 times smaller. So 1 decimeter is the same as 10 centimetres. 1 centimetre is the same as 10 millimetres. And the other way going backwards. So if we were going from millimetres to centimetres, we'd divide by 10. Centimetres to decimeters, we'd divide by 10. And decimeters to metres, we would also divide by 10. When it comes to grams then of weight, well, using the same kilo here means that if we were going to go from kilograms all the way to grams, we would multiply by 1,000 because the word kilo means 1,000. So 1 kilo is the same as 1,000 grams. What about the word hecto then? What does that mean? Well, the word hecto actually means times 100. Hecto for 100. So 1 kilogram is the same as multiplying a kilogram by 10 to get the hectograms. So if we have 1 kilogram of sugar, that is the same as 10 hectograms of sugar, because a hectogram means times 100, which is the same as 10 times 100 grams, which is 1,000 grams, and we know that a kilo is 1,000 grams. So to go from kilo to hectogram, we go times 10. To go from hectogram to gram, we times by 100. And to go from grams to milligrams, well, gram to milli, the prefix milli means 1,000th. So if we go from gram to milligram, we multiply by 1,000. If we want to know from milligram to gram, we divide by 1,000. And the same thing here as for metre as for litre. Litre to decilitre times 10. Decilitre to centilitre times 10. Centilitre to milliliter times 10. And the opposite way around. Once you've understood how these mechanisms are built up, it's now really easy to convert the different length mechanisms, or weight, or anything else. Let's say that we would like to go from 2.4 kilometers to meters. Well, to go from kilometers to meters, we look at where do we go here. We go from kilometers to meters. We multiply by 1,000. So we're going from big unit to small unit. So big unit to a small unit always means we multiply. So we multiply by what? 1,000, giving us 2,400 meters. So to go to kilometers to meters, we just multiply by 2,400 meters. What if we were not going to go to meters, let's say we were going to go instead to centimeters. Well, what do we do then? We take our 2.4 kilometers that we had, and to go from kilometers to meters, we would multiply by 1,000. And then to go from meters to decimeters, we would multiply by 10. And to go from decimeters to centimeters, we'd multiply by another 10. So what we can actually do is we can say 2.4 times by, and how many zeros was there between kilometers and centimeters? And just go up here and count the number of zeros. 3 there, 1 there, and 1 here. That's 5. So multiplied by 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we move the decimal point 5 places to, backwards to make the number 5 times larger. So 2.4 would then be moved the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places backwards, giving us that 2.4 kilometers is the same as 240,000 centimeters. What about going backwards then? Well, let's take another length measurement here. Let's say that we have 1,208 millimeters, and we would like to know what that is in meters. Well, to go from millimeters to meters, we look at the number of zeros we have. 1, 2, 3. That would take us 3 steps back. That would take us from millimeters to meters. So I take my 1,208 and divide it by a 1 with 3 zeros. So that means I've just got to move my decimal point 3 places backwards, move it 1 place for every 0 that I have. 1, 2, 3, giving me an answer of 1.208 meters. So we just look at the number of zeros there are between the unit that I'm starting at and the unit that I want, and then just move the decimal point that place backwards. Here I was going from a small unit, meters, backwards to a large unit. So a small unit to a large unit, we always use divide. Large unit to small unit was multiply, small unit to large unit is always divide. So that's the mechanism we use. Let's try a couple of weight questions here then. What about 2.4 kilos as hectograms? Let's say we're buying sweets for a really big party that we're going to have, and we bought 2.4 kilos of sweets, and we would like to split it up into 100-gram bags for every child, so 1 hecto for each child. How many hectos do we have? Well, we look here at kilos, and we want to go from kilos to hectograms, so we just take our 2.4 and we're going from large unit to small unit, so we multiply by 10. That's giving us 24 hectograms. So we'll get 24 sweet bags. We're going to have 24 children arriving at our party. Let's try another one. What if we had, let's take the same weight again, 2.4 kilos. And now we're wondering how many milligrams that would be. Well, we have to look at the number of zeros there are between kilos and milligrams. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 zeros that I have to multiply by. So I have to multiply this number by 1,000,000. Sorry, a bit scruffy there. Let's make a bit more space. 6 zeros I have to multiply by 1,000,000 to get my answer in milligrams. And when I multiply 2.4 by 1,000,000, I would get 2,400,000 milligrams, which in maths terms we'd probably write in scientific notation 2.4 times 10 to the power 6 milligrams. So if you wonder how many milligrams there are in 2.4 kilos, you can use this mechanism to quickly work it out. Let's go from a small weight unit to a large weight then. If we were going to go from, let's say we're going from 3060 milligrams, and we wonder how many hectograms that is. Well, we're starting from milligrams, which is over here, and we're going to hectograms over here. So how many zeros do we have to divide by? We're going from small unit to big unit, so we know we have to divide. How many zeros are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're dividing by 5 zeros, same as dividing by 100,000. So we take our 3060 and divide by 100,000. That's the same as moving the decimal point 5 zeros moves the decimal point 5 places backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means that we are going to have a 0 point, and wherever we've got a space here, we have to think that there's actually a 0 there. So we have to remember to write a 0 there. 0.0306 hectograms. So 3060 milligrams is the same as 0.0306 hectograms. And it's exactly the same thing if we've got volume measurements in litres or decilitres. If I wonder how much 24 decilitres is in centilitres. Well, I look at the number of zeros between decilitres and centilitres, and we can see here we've got 1, 2 zeros between litres to sorry, we've not got any litres. We've only got 1 0 between decilitre and centilitre. We're just going this way from decilitre to centilitre. So we multiply it by 10, so we get 24 times 10 equals 240 centilitres. So decilitres to centilitres just times 10. What then about if we had 750 millilitres? 750 millilitres, and we wondered how many litres that was going to be in litres. Well, we would go 750 millilitres, we need to divide, and we know now we need to see how many zeros we have to divide by. 1, 2, 3. 3 zeros, so we divide by 1,000. So 750 divided by 1,000 gives us our number of litres. Move the decimal point 1 place back for each 0 on the bottom. So we would move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 places back, giving us 0.075 litres. We could write the 0 there, but we don't usually need to write the 0 after the 5 because there's an infinite number of decimal zeros after the 5 there. So we would write it as 0.75 litres. So that's some simple conversions of length, weight, and volume unit using this mechanism. And it's pretty easy once you actually set everything up right from the start. So you can see that kilo always means times 1,000. So there should always be a times 1,000 after a kilo sign going to the original unit. Here and here we can see that. Then meters to decimeters. Deci actually means 1/10. So we are, a decimeter is 1/10 smaller than a meter. And a milli is 1,000th smaller than a meter as well, millimeter.